Elena Reyes stepped off the transport shuttle and into a world she had only seen in briefing files. The Galactic Council station stretched out before her like a small city floating in space. Lights from 1,000 different worlds glowed through massive windows. Beings of every shape and size moved through the corridors. Some walked on 2 legs like her. Others floated. Some crawled on 6 limbs or more. She smoothed down her dark blue uniform and checked her reflection in a nearby metal panel. 28 years old, and she was about to represent all of humanity. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, she felt oddly calm. "Ambassador Reyes?" A mechanical voice spoke from a floating sphere beside her. "Please follow me to the council chambers." Elena nodded and followed the guide through the winding hallways. Alien eyes watched her as she passed. Some looked curious, others looked angry. She had studied the files during the 3-week journey here. Not everyone wanted humans at the council table. The doors to the council chambers opened with a soft hiss. The room was enormous. 12 raised platforms circled a central floor, each one holding a different species. These were the elder races, the ones who had been traveling between stars when humans were still learning to make fire. Elena walked to the center of the room. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. "Humans of Earth," a gentle voice spoke. It came from a being made of what looked like living crystal. "You seek to join our council, to become part of the galactic community. Is this correct?" "Yes, honored elder," Elena said. She kept her voice steady and clear. "Your species is very young," another voice said. This one was harsh and deep. Elena turned to see a massive creature standing nearly 3 meters tall. Its skin was dark red and covered in thick scales. 4 eyes stared down at her. "You have only left your world in the last 100 cycles. What makes you think you belong here?" Elena recognized the speaker from her files. Ambassador Tharzen of the Krell Empire. The Krell were warriors. Their entire culture was built on strength and honor. They had voted against humanity's admission 3 times already. "We may be young," Elena said, "but we are ready to learn, ready to contribute." "Contribute?" Tharzen's laugh rumbled through the chamber. "What can soft-worlders like you contribute? You come from a gentle planet. You know nothing of true hardship. Nothing of real danger." Elena felt a flash of anger, but pushed it down. Getting emotional would not help. "The Krell have a point," another ambassador said. This one looked like a tall insect with delicate wings. "Perhaps the humans need to understand what it means to stand among us, the pressures, the dangers." "What do you suggest, Ambassador Velix?" the crystal being asked. "The old ways," Velix said. "Let them face the circle of truth. If they truly wish to join us, let them prove they have the strength." Whispers filled the chamber. Elena had not heard of this circle of truth in any of her briefings. She glanced at the human delegation sitting in the observation area. They looked as confused as she felt. "The circle of truth has not been invoked in over 1,000 cycles," the crystal being said. "Are you certain this is necessary?" "I invoke it as my right," Tharzen said. He stood fully, his massive form casting a shadow across the floor. "The human will face warrior judgment. If she shows proper respect and understanding, then we will know her species is worthy. If she fails, humanity will wait another century before requesting admission again." Elena's mind raced. This was clearly a trap of some kind, a test designed to make her fail. But refusing would be worse. It would make humanity look weak, afraid. "I accept," Elena said. The chamber fell silent. Even Tharzen seemed surprised. "You do not know what you have agreed to," he said. "Then I will learn," Elena replied. "Isn't that what this is about? Proving humanity can adapt? Can face challenges?" The crystal being spoke again. "Very well. The Circle of Truth will take place in 1 standard hour. Ambassador Reyes, you will be escorted to the ceremonial chamber. Other council members may observe if they wish." The floating sphere guide appeared at Elena's side again. "Please follow me, Ambassador." As Elena walked out of the chamber, she heard the whispers start again. She caught fragments of different languages. Some sounded worried, others sounded excited. One phrase kept repeating in different forms. "She does not know what she has done." The guide led her down into the lower levels of the station. The walls here were older, carved from dark stone instead of modern metal. Symbols covered the surfaces, ancient writing from species long gone. "What exactly is the Circle of Truth?" Elena asked. "I am not programmed with that information," the sphere replied. "I only know it is a very old ceremony. Very few species have faced it in recent history." They reached a large circular room. The ceiling was high and domed. Seats lined the walls at different heights, allowing various species to observe. In the center was a flat stone circle about 10 meters across. "Please wait here," the guide said. "The ceremony will begin shortly." Elena stood in the center of the circle. She could feel her heart beating faster now. Not from fear exactly, more like anticipation, like the moment before a storm breaks. The observation seats began to fill. She saw the human delegation enter, looking worried. Other ambassadors took their places, the crystal being floated into a central observation position. Then the doors on the opposite side of the chamber opened. 7 Krell warriors entered. Each one wore ceremonial armor made of dark metal. Each one carried a sword. But these were not simple blades. They glowed with a blue energy along their edges. Plasma swords, weapons that could cut through almost anything. The warriors moved with perfect coordination. They spread out around the stone circle, around Elena. Their movements were slow and deliberate, ceremonial. Elena stood still and watched them. She noted their positions, the way they held their weapons, the discipline in every step. The warriors began to move closer. The circle around her grew tighter. The glowing swords rose until they formed a cage of deadly light around her. The blades stopped inches from her throat. 7 swords, 7 warriors, all perfectly positioned. The chamber was absolutely silent. Elena knew what they wanted. They wanted her to beg, to show fear, to acknowledge their power and their strength. This was a test of hierarchy, a way to make species understand their place. She looked at the glowing blades, felt the heat radiating from them, saw her own reflection in the polished armor of the warriors. And then something unexpected happened. Elena smiled. It was not a forced smile, not a brave face hiding terror. It was genuine, almost amused. "Is this supposed to be scary?" she asked. The words echoed in the silent chamber. For a long moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then Tarzan stood abruptly in his observation seat. His 4 eyes were wide. Around the chamber, other ambassadors began to whisper urgently, because in 10,000 years of galactic history, no one had ever smiled at the Circle of Truth. No one had ever asked if it was supposed to be scary. The Krell warriors stood frozen, their swords still at Elena's throat. They did not know what to do. This had never happened before. Tarzan's voice boomed across the chamber. "What death world spawned you, human?" The Krell warriors still had not moved. Their swords remained inches from Elena's neck, glowing blue in the dim light, but now they looked uncertain, confused. One of them glanced back at Tarzan as if asking for instructions. Tarzan descended from his observation platform. His heavy footsteps echoed as he approached the stone circle. He stopped at the edge, staring at Elena with all 4 eyes. "Lower your weapons," he commanded. The 7 warriors stepped back in perfect unison. They lowered their swords and moved to the edge of the room, but they kept watching Elena like she was a puzzle they could not solve. "In 3,000 cycles of performing the Circle of Truth," Tarzan said slowly, "every species has shown proper fear. The Veloxi trembled. The Archons dimmed their light. The crystalline elders sang songs of respect. Even my own people, when we first faced this test millennia ago, we bowed our heads. We acknowledged the power of the blade. He moved closer to Elena. But you smiled. You asked if it was supposed to be scary. I must know why. Elena shrugged. They were just standing there, holding swords. They were not attacking. They were not angry. They were just performing a ceremony. Why would that be scary? The crystal being floated down from the observation area. Perhaps the human does not understand what those weapons can do. Ambassador Reyes, those plasma blades can cut through starship armor. They could have killed you in an instant. But they were not going to, Elena said simply. This was a test, a show of force. I grew up in Detroit, in the reclamation zone. I know the difference between someone trying to scare you and someone actually trying to hurt you. Your warriors were trying to scare me. So no, it was not scary. Detroit? Tarzan repeated. Reclamation zone? Explain these terms. Elena paused. How could she explain Earth to beings who had never seen it? Detroit is a city, a place where many humans live. The reclamation zone is what we call the parts of the city that were destroyed during the resource wars. My family lived there when I was young. Your people had wars over resources? The insect-like Valix asked. This is concerning. We have had wars over many things, Elena admitted. Resources, land, ideas, religion. We are not proud of it, but it is our history. How many wars? The crystal being asked gently. Elena hesitated. She knew this would not sound good. I am not sure of the exact number. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, depending on how you count them. The chamber erupted in noise. Ambassadors spoke urgently to each other in dozens of languages. The human delegation in the observation area looked sick. Silence! Tarzan roared. The chamber fell quiet. He turned to the crystal being. Elder Lysara, I request a full review of Earth's records, environmental data, historical files, everything. Before we proceed further, we must know what kind of world produced this human. Elder Lysara's light pulsed thoughtfully. Very well. Council is suspended for 6 standard hours while we review the data. Ambassador Reyes, please return to your quarters. Elena nodded and followed her guide out of the chamber. She could feel hundreds of eyes watching her leave. The next 6 hours felt like 6 days. Elena sat in her assigned quarters, a small room with a window looking out at the stars. Her communicator buzzed constantly with messages from the human delegation. They wanted to know what had happened, what she had said, why the council had called for a recess. She tried to explain, but she was not sure herself. All she knew was that she had told the truth. Finally, the summons came. The council was reconvening. When Elena entered the chamber again, the atmosphere had changed. The ambassadors looked at her differently now, not with curiosity or annoyance, with something closer to fear. Elder Lysara spoke first. We have reviewed the data on Earth. What we found is deeply troubling. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth spinning slowly, blue and green and beautiful. Your world, Lysara continued, is classified as a Class 12 death world. Elena blinked. I do not know what that means. Our classification system goes from Class 1 to Class 10, Valix explained. His wings were folded tight against his body. Class 1 worlds are gentle, perfect for life. Class 10 worlds are extremely dangerous, hostile environments that challenge survival. Earth is beyond our scale. The display zoomed in to show Earth's atmosphere. Your oxygen levels are at 21%, Lysara said. This is toxic to most species. The Krell, your warrior race, cannot breathe your air for more than a few minutes before their cells begin to die. Tarzan's scales darkened. He said nothing. Your gravity, Lysara continued, is 1.3 times galactic standard. You have been moving through this station in what is essentially low gravity. Your true strength is much greater than what we have seen. The display changed to show storms, massive hurricanes that could swallow cities, tornadoes that tore through landscapes, earthquakes that split the ground. Your weather patterns, Lysara said quietly, are catastrophic by our standards. Hurricanes with winds that exceed 200 kilometers per hour, earthquakes measuring above 9 on the Richter scale, tsunamis that destroy coastlines. These events occur regularly on your world. Elena watched the images. She had seen all of this before. It was just Earth, just home. Your biology is equally concerning, Velix added. He sounded shaken. Billions of microorganisms live on and in your bodies. Many would kill us in hours. You coexist with them. You evolved alongside predators that hunted you, creatures with claws and teeth designed to tear flesh. And you survived. You became the apex predator of your entire planet. We are persistence hunters, Elena said. I read that in school. Ancient humans would chase animals for days until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Then we would kill it. Yes, Lysara said. You literally run your prey to death. This is nightmare logic to us. The display changed again. This time it showed battles, wars, weapons. Your historical records, Tharzen said, standing, show continuous warfare for 10,000 cycles. The Krell have fought 14 wars in that same time period, 14 wars across our entire empire. You fought 14 wars in the last century alone, on one planet. Elena felt a weight in her chest. She knew Earth's history was violent, but seeing it laid out like this compared to other species made it feel different, worse. We have created weapons that could destroy our own world, she admitted. Nuclear bombs, biological weapons, chemical agents. We pointed them at ourselves. Why? Lysara asked. Why would you create such things? Because we were afraid of each other, Elena said quietly. Because we thought if we were strong enough, dangerous enough, no one would attack us. We were wrong. We almost destroyed ourselves. But we did not. We learned. We changed. That is why we are here, to be better, to be part of something larger than just Earth. You think this makes you worthy? An ambassador Elena did not recognize asked. The being looked like a cloud of gas held together by a glowing field. You are violent, dangerous. You come from a nightmare world and you smile at death. We smile at death because we have faced it our entire existence, Elena said. Her voice was stronger now. Every human child learns stories of people who refused to give up, who stood against impossible odds. My grandmother faced 3 armed men to protect me when I was 6 years old. She had no weapons. She was 68 years old. But she stood between them and me, and she did not move. That is what humans do. We do not give up. We do not surrender. Not to predators, not to nature, not to each other. And not to fear. The chamber was silent. The circle of truth, Elena continued, was supposed to teach me my place. Supposed to make me understand that there are forces more powerful than me. But I already know that. I have always known that. Earth taught me that every single day. The difference is, I learned that being weaker does not mean you bow. It means you stand anyway. Tharzen was staring at her with an expression she could not read. You are dangerous, he said finally. Not because you are violent, but because you do not know how to submit. Every species in this council understands hierarchy, understands when to bow to greater strength. You do not have that instinct. You will challenge everything, question everything, and you will never, ever be intimidated. Is that a problem? Elena asked. I do not know, Tharzen admitted, but I know it changes everything. The council session ended with no decision. Elder Lysara declared that the council needed time to consider what they had learned about humanity. Elena was escorted back to her quarters, exhausted and uncertain about what would happen next. She had barely sat down when her door chimed. The screen beside it showed Thar-Zen standing in the corridor, alone. No guards, no ceremony. Elena opened the door. Ambassador Thar-Zen. "May I enter?" he asked. His voice was different now, less formal, almost tired. Of course. Thar-Zen had to duck to fit through the doorway. Inside Elena's modest quarters, he looked enormous, but he moved carefully, making sure not to knock anything over with his bulk. He sat on the floor since the furniture was too small for him. "I did not come in my official capacity," he said. "What I am about to tell you is not council business. It is personal. A warning from one warrior to another." Elena sat across from him. "I am listening. The Circle of Truth," Thar-Zen began, "was created 6,000 cycles ago by my ancestors. But not for the reason you think. It was not designed to test courage. It was designed to teach fear." He leaned back against the wall. "The Krell were once like you, aggressive, unwilling to submit. We fought everyone. We challenged every species we met. For 2,000 cycles, we waged war across the stars." "What changed?" Elena asked. "We met the Archons," Thar-Zen said. "Beings of pure energy, immortal, powerful beyond measure. They destroyed our fleets with a thought, killed billions of my people in days. We learned that there were forces in the universe we could not defeat. We learned to fear, to respect power greater than our own. That is when we created the Circle of Truth, to teach other species this lesson before they made our mistakes." Elena was quiet for a moment. "You wanted me to learn to fear the sword, to understand that some forces cannot be challenged." "Yes," Thar-Zen said, "because that fear is what keeps the peace. The galactic community is not built on friendship, Ambassador Reyes. It is built on controlled fear. Every species knows their place because they fear those above them. The Krell maintain order because other species fear our military. The Archons keep us in check because we fear their power. It is a delicate balance." "And you think humans will destroy that balance," Elena said. "I think you will try," Thar-Zen replied, "because you do not have the instinct to submit. You proved that today. 7 plasma swords at your neck and you smiled. You did not calculate the danger. You did not measure the risk. You simply decided that you would not be afraid." "Should I have been?" Elena asked. "Yes," Thar-Zen said, "because fear is what prevents war. If you do not fear the sword, you will challenge the warrior. If you challenge the warrior, there will be conflict. And in galactic politics, conflict means death. Millions of deaths, maybe billions." Elena stood and walked to the window. Outside, stars glittered against the darkness. "On Earth we have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. If everyone is afraid, if everyone submits to power, who stops those in power when they do wrong?" "The Archons," Thar-Zen said immediately. "They are our final arbiters, our ultimate authority." "And who judges them?" Elena asked. Thar-Zen had no answer. Elena turned back to him. "I understand what you are saying. I do. But humanity cannot be what you want us to be. We cannot learn to fear the sword and stop there. It is not in our nature. We will always ask, why should I fear this? And what if I refuse?" "Then you will bring war," Thar-Zen said. "Or we will bring change," Elena countered. Thar-Zen stood slowly. "There is an old Krell prophecy, ancient words from before we joined the council. Beware the species that smiles at death, for they will remake the stars in their image." I never understood what it meant. I always thought it was about the Archons. But now I wonder if it was about you, about humans. He moved toward the door, then stopped. "The council will vote in 2 days. Some will want you as allies. Some will fear you. I will speak in your favor, but not because I think you are safe. I will speak for you because I think you are necessary." "Necessary for what?" Elena asked. "For whatever comes next," Tarzan said. "Because I think this galaxy has been too peaceful for too long, too comfortable. And comfort makes species weak. You will shake us awake, whether we want it or not." He left without waiting for a response. Elena spent the next day meeting with the human delegation. They were nervous. The Council's discovery about Earth had spread through the station. Other species were talking. Some were fascinated. Most were frightened. "Maybe we should withdraw our application," one of the delegation suggested. "Wait a few more generations. Let humanity settle down. Become less intense." "No," Elena said firmly. "We are what we are. If we hide that, if we pretend to be something we are not, it will only be worse when the truth comes out. Better to be honest now." The second day arrived. Elena returned to the council chambers. The observation areas were packed. Word had spread that this would be a historic vote. Elderly Sarah called the session to order. "We have reviewed all data regarding humanity and Earth. We have heard arguments from many sides. Now we must decide. Should humanity be granted admission to the Galactic Council?" One by one, ambassadors stood to speak. Valix spoke first. "The Veloxy Collective believes humanity is too dangerous. Their world has made them aggressive, unpredictable. We vote against admission." An ambassador from a species called the Tarn spoke next. They looked like living stone. "The Tarn have reviewed human philosophy and art. We see a species capable of great beauty and great violence. We believe they can learn balance. We vote for admission." It went on for an hour. The votes were almost even. Some species feared humanity. Others saw potential. A few saw humans as useful weapons against their rivals. Finally, Tarzan stood. The chamber fell silent. "The Krell Empire has opposed humanity's admission 3 times, he began. "We believed them unworthy, unready. We believed they needed to learn respect and fear. But I was wrong about what needed to be learned." He turned to look at Elena. "We asked the human to fear the sword. She refused. We showed her the power we held over her life. She smiled. We thought this was ignorance, foolishness, but we were the fools, because we assumed that not fearing the sword meant not understanding it. Ambassador Reyes understands the sword perfectly. She simply values other things more than her own survival. Dignity, truth, freedom. She will die for these things. This is not ignorance. This is conviction." Murmurs spread through the chamber. "The galaxy has been at peace for 6,000 cycles," Tarzan continued. "But it is a peace built on fear and submission. Everyone knows their place. Everyone bows to greater power. And in this system, injustice is tolerated because challenging it might disrupt the peace. I believe humanity will disrupt this peace, not through war, but through questions. Through refusing to accept that might makes right. And perhaps we need that disruption." He straightened to his full height. "The Krell Empire votes for humanity's admission to the Galactic Council." The chamber erupted in noise. This was unprecedented. The Krell had never changed their position before. Elder Lysara's light pulsed brightly. "Order! We must complete the vote." 3 more ambassadors voted. 2 for, 1 against. "The vote stands at 16 for admission, 12 against," Lysara announced. "By council law, admission requires a 2/3 majority. Humanity is 3 votes short." Elena felt her heart sink. They had come so close. Then alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed throughout the chamber. A holographic display appeared showing the space around the station. Ships were approaching, hundreds of them. Dark vessels bristling with weapons. An ambassador Elena had not seen before rushed into the chamber. The being was gaseous, barely holding form. "The Scourge Collective," it gasped. "They have come." They are demanding our surrender. The Scourge? Lysara said. They have not attacked the Council in over 300 cycles. They are transmitting now, the messenger said. A voice filled the chamber. It sounded like metal scraping against stone. Galactic Council, you have grown soft in your peace. We offer you a choice. Surrender and pay tribute or face annihilation. You have 1 standard hour to decide. The transmission ended. Chaos erupted in the council chambers. Ambassadors shouted. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for evacuation. Elena stood frozen. Humanity's admission was forgotten. A new threat had arrived. The council chamber descended into panic. Ambassadors shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate evacuation. Others argued for paying the tribute. A few called for military response, but their voices were drowned out by the majority. Elena watched in disbelief. These were the leaders of a galactic civilization, species that had traveled the stars for thousands of years, and they were ready to surrender without firing a single shot. "We must evacuate," Valix insisted. "The Scourge fleet outnumbers our defense forces 10-1. We cannot win." "Then we negotiate," another ambassador said. "Find out what they want. Pay it. Live to see another day." "This is how it has always been done," a third voice added. "The Scourge come every few centuries. We pay tribute. They leave. No one dies unnecessarily." Tharzen stood. "You would surrender before the fight even begins." "The Krell may worship honorable death," Valix shot back, "but the rest of us prefer practical survival. We know we cannot win, so we will not fight." Elena felt something hot and angry rise in her chest. She had seen this before, in the reclamation zone. Gangs would come through, demanding protection money. Most people paid. It was easier, safer, but her grandmother had never paid. She had always stood her ground. Elena pulled out her communicator and stepped away from the arguing ambassadors. She opened a secure channel to the human delegation. "Patch me through to Earth Fleet Command," she said quietly. "Priority Alpha." "Ambassador, are you sure?" the delegation leader began. "Do it now," Elena said. "We do not have time." 30 seconds later, a gruff voice came through. "Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen, what is your situation, Ambassador?" "Admiral, I need the nearest Earth vessel to the Council Station's coordinates. How fast can they get here?" There was a pause. "The cruiser Indomitable is 3 hours out. Captain Marcus Chen commanding. He is my son." "What is happening, Elena?" Elena had served under Marcus Chen before joining the diplomatic corps. He was a good captain. More importantly, he understood when rules needed to be broken. "The Council Station is under threat from a raider fleet called the Scourge Collective. Hundreds of ships. The Council is preparing to surrender and pay tribute." "And you want the Indomitable to do what exactly?" Admiral Chen asked carefully. "I want them here, ready. Just in case." "In case of what?" "In case someone decides to fight back," Elena said. Another pause, longer this time. "Elena, the Indomitable is 1 ship. You said hundreds of enemy vessels. Those are not good odds." "I know, Admiral, but I also know that Captain Chen has never walked away from someone who needed help. Neither have I. Neither has any human I have ever met. So I am asking, will you send him?" The Admiral sighed. "He is already on his way. He heard the distress call from the Council Station 20 minutes ago. I ordered him to hold position outside the system and await orders. But if you are asking me to send him in..." "I am asking," Elena said. "Then he goes in. God help you both. Chen out." Elena closed the communicator and turned back to the chaos in the council chamber. Elder Lysara was trying to restore order. "We must vote on the council's response. All in favor of paying tribute and avoiding conflict. Signal now." Lights appeared across the chamber. Elena counted quickly. 22 votes, out of 28 total members. "The Council has decided," Lysara announced. "We will contact the Scourge and negotiate terms. All military vessels are ordered to stand down. No aggressive action is to be taken." "No," Elena said. Her voice cut through the chamber. Everyone turned to stare at her. "Excuse me?" Lysara said. "I said no," Elena repeated. "Humanity does not accept this decision." "You are not a council member yet," Velix pointed out. "You have no vote." "Then I speak as a representative of Earth, and Earth does not surrender to pirates and raiders. We will not pay tribute to bullies. We will fight." "With what army?" Velix demanded. "You have no ships here, no forces. You are one human on a station that has already decided its course." "I have one ship," Elena said. "The Terran cruiser Indomitable. It will be here in 3 hours." The chamber fell silent. "One ship against hundreds?" an ambassador asked. "This is madness." "Probably," Elena admitted. "But it is what humans do. We fight, even when the odds are bad, especially when someone needs defending." Tarzan was staring at her with something like wonder in his 4 eyes. "You would do this? Risk your ship, your crew, for a council that has not even accepted you as members?" "You are in trouble," Elena said simply. "That is enough." "The council has made its decision," Lysara said firmly. "We appreciate humanity's courage, but we cannot allow you to provoke the Scourge. If you attack them, they may retaliate against the station itself. Thousands could die." "Then tell your people to evacuate," Elena said. "Get them off the station. But I will not tell Captain Chen to stand down. That choice is his to make." "This is not acceptable," Velix said. "Elder Lysara, you must forbid this." "I cannot forbid what I have no authority over," Lysara replied. She looked at Elena with her crystalline eyes. "But I can ask. Please, Ambassador Reyes, do not do this. Do not throw away lives on a gesture." "It is not a gesture," Elena said. "It is a statement. If you always surrender, you will always be prey. Someone has to stand up. Someone has to say no." The next 3 hours were tense. The council negotiated with the Scourge. The raiders demanded resources, technology, and ships. They wanted 10 vessels from the council fleet as tribute. Meanwhile, Elena sat in her quarters and waited for Marcus Chen to arrive. Her communicator buzzed. It was Captain Chen. "Ambassador Reyes, I am approaching the system. I have been briefed on the situation. Your orders?" "Hold position outside weapons range," Elena said. "Monitor the situation. Be ready." "Ready for what?" Marcus asked. "I am not sure yet," Elena admitted, "but I do not think this ends with negotiation." "Understood. Indomitable standing by." Elena returned to the council chamber. The negotiations were wrapping up. The Scourge had agreed to take 8 ships instead of 10. The council was preparing to transfer the vessels. Then something changed. The Scourge transmission came through again. The grinding metal voice filled the chamber. "We have reconsidered. 8 ships are not enough. We want 12, and we want the human." "What?" Elena said. "We have heard about your species," the Scourge leader said. "We have heard you are from a death world, that you do not fear properly. We want to see this for ourselves. Give us the human female. Let us test her. If she survives, we will take only 8 ships. If she does not, we will take 15. The council chamber erupted again. "Absolutely not," Tarzan roared. "You go too far, Scourge." "Then we will take the station," the voice replied. "We will take everything, including all of you." Lysara turned to Elena. "This is your decision, Ambassador. We will not force you." Elena felt cold. This was a trap, a game. The Scourge wanted to humiliate the council. Wanted to prove they could take whatever they wanted, even people. Her communicator buzzed silently. a message from Marcus Chen. I am reading the transmissions. Say the word and I engage. Elena looked around the chamber, at the ambassadors who had not wanted humanity to join, at Tharzen, who had become an unexpected ally, at Lysara, who had tried to be fair. They were all waiting for her to make a choice, surrender herself to save ships, or refuse and let the Scourge take more. But those were not the only options. Elena stood. I have a counteroffer for the Scourge Collective. We are not interested in negotiations, the voice said. Then listen anyway, Elena said. She walked to the center of the chamber where everyone could see her. You want to test me? Fine, but do it honestly, not as your prisoner. Face me in open space. Ship to ship. The Indomitable versus your flagship. One-on-one. The transmission was silent for a long moment. Then the Scourge leader laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. One small cruiser against our battleship? You are insane. Probably, Elena said. Do you accept or not? And when we destroy your ship? The voice asked. Then you have proven your point, Elena said. But if we win, you leave. No tribute, no ships. You go and you do not come back. Another pause. Very well, human. We accept. This will be entertaining. You have 1 hour to prepare, then we will show the council what happens to those who do not know their place. The transmission ended. Every ambassador was staring at Elena in shock. What have you done? Valix whispered. Elena smiled. The same smile she had given to the 7 Krell warriors. I gave them exactly what they wanted, she said. A chance to prove humans are dangerous. Captain Marcus Chen sat in the command chair of the Indomitable and stared at the tactical display. The Scourge flagship was massive, 3 times the size of his cruiser, 4 times the firepower, thick armor plating, shield generators that could probably take everything he could throw at them. Well, his first officer said quietly, at least it will be quick. Marcus glanced at her. Where is your faith, Commander Park? I left it back at the academy, she replied, along with my belief in fair fights. Marcus opened a channel to Elena. Ambassador, I appreciate the confidence, but I want to be clear. We are outmatched here. Badly. Elena's voice came through. She was on the council station, watching with the other ambassadors. I know, Marcus, but can you win? Can I? Marcus leaned back in his chair. Maybe. If we are smart, if we are lucky, if the Scourge captain is overconfident, that is a lot of ifs. That is better odds than my grandmother had, Elena said. She won her fight. Marcus smiled despite himself. He had heard the story. Every human in the fleet had heard the story by now. Elena's grandmother facing down 3 armed men with nothing but courage and stubbornness. All right then, Marcus said. We fight. But we fight smart. We use every advantage we have. What advantages? Commander Park asked. They are bigger, stronger, more heavily armed. But they are not human, Marcus interrupted. They do not know how we think, how we fight. They are expecting us to be like the council species, cautious, playing by rules, following protocols. He began typing commands into his console. So we do not do that. We do what humans do best. We improvise, we adapt, we push every limit, and we do not give up. The hour passed quickly. The council station evacuated non-essential personnel. Those who remained gathered in the observation areas to watch. The entire galaxy would be watching this. News had spread fast. The Scourge flagship moved into position. It was a dark, ugly thing, covered in weapons and armor plating. No elegance, just brutal efficiency. A transmission came through. Human vessel Indomitable. This is War Master Kravik of the Scourge Collective. Are you ready to die? Marcus opened the channel. This is Captain Marcus Chen. We are ready to fight. There is a difference. We shall see, Kravik said. Begin when ready. The channel closed. Marcus looked around his bridge. 30 crew members, most of them young, all of them volunteers. They knew the risks when they signed up for fleet service. They knew humans went to dangerous places and did dangerous things. "All stations report ready, sir," Commander Park said. "Then let us show them what humans can do," Marcus said. "All power to engines. Attack pattern Delta 7. The Indomitable surged forward. The Scourge flagship opened fire immediately. Massive plasma cannons sent bolts of superheated energy through space. Any one of them could cripple the Indomitable. But Marcus was not where Kravik expected him to be. The human cruiser moved with impossible speed and agility. It dodged the first volley, spun on its axis, and fired its own weapons at the flagship's shield generators. The shots hit. The shields held. But they flickered. "Again," Marcus ordered. "Same spot. Pour everything into it." The Indomitable made another pass. More shots, more strain on that one shield section. "They are adapting," Park reported. "Rotating shield frequencies." "Of course they are," Marcus said. "So we adapt too. Helm, get us underneath them. They will not expect us to fly under a ship that size." "Sir, the gravitational stress will not kill us as fast as their guns," Marcus finished. "Do it!" The Indomitable dove beneath the massive flagship. The gravitational pull from the larger ship's mass caused the cruiser's hull to groan in protest. Warning lights flashed across the bridge, but they made it underneath. Marcus fired everything: missiles, railguns, plasma cannons, all aimed at the flagship's less protected underside. Explosions rippled across the Scourge vessel's hull. "Direct hits," Park reported. "Their shields are weakening in that sector." "War Master Kravik is hailing us," the communications officer said. "Put him through," Marcus said. The Scourge leader's voice was angry now. "You fight like a coward. No honor, no dignity." "I fight to win," Marcus replied. "There is no honor in losing." He cut the transmission and continued the assault. But the Scourge flagship was not helpless. It began to roll, trying to bring its main weapons to bear on the smaller ship. Automated defense turrets tracked the Indomitable's movements and opened fire. The human cruiser took hits. Armor plating burned away. One of the engine pods went offline. "Shields at 40%, Park reported. "We cannot take many more hits like that." Marcus studied the tactical display. They had done damage, but not enough. The flagship was too big, too tough. They needed something more. Then he saw it, a small detail in the enemy ship's design, a weakness. "Their main reactor," Marcus said. "It is in the center of the ship, protected, but the coolant lines run along the outer hull. If we can rupture enough of them, the reactor will overheat." "We would have to get in close," Park said. "Very close, inside their shield envelope." "Then that is what we do," Marcus said. "All power to forward shields. Helm, take us in, ramming speed." The bridge fell silent. "Sir," Park said carefully, "if we get that close and they fire, we will be destroyed." "Then we better make sure they do not fire," Marcus said. He opened a channel to the entire crew. "All hands, this is the captain. What we are about to do is insane. It is reckless. It is probably going to get us killed, but it is also the only way to win. I need everyone at their stations. I need every system running at 110%. And I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" Across the ship, in engineering, in weapons control, in medical, voices called back. "Yes, sir." "Then let us end this," Marcus said. The Indomitable accelerated directly toward the Scourge flagship. Alarms screamed. The ship shook from impacts, but they kept going. Kravik's voice came through again. "You are committing suicide! Pull back, you fool!" Marcus did not answer. He was too focused on the approach vector. 5 kilometers. 4. 3. The flagship's weapons were tracking them. At this range, they could not miss. 2 kilometers. "Fire everything," Marcus ordered. The Indomitable unleashed every weapon it had. Missiles streaked toward the coolant lines. Railgun rounds punched through armor. Plasma cannons burned into the hull. The coolant lines ruptured. Superheated gas vented into space, 1 kilometer. The flagship's reactor temperature began to spike. "They are going critical," Park shouted. "Their reactor is overloading." "Full reverse thrust," Marcus ordered. "Get us clear." The Indomitable's engines screamed as they fought against the ship's forward momentum. They were too close. They were not going to make it. Then the Scourge flagship exploded. The blast wave caught the Indomitable and threw it spinning through space. Systems failed across the ship. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in after several terrifying seconds. Marcus pulled himself back into his chair. "Damage report!" "Multiple hull breaches," Park said. Her voice was shaking. "Life support offline on decks 4 and 5. Main engines offline. Weapons offline. But we are alive, sir. We are alive." Marcus opened a channel to the council station. "This is Captain Chen to Ambassador Reyes. The flagship is destroyed." There was a moment of stunned silence. Then Elena's voice came through. "You did it. Marcus, you actually did it." "We got lucky," Marcus said. "Very, very lucky." "The rest of the Scourge fleet is retreating," Elena said. She sounded like she was laughing and crying at the same time. "They are leaving the system. You won. Humanity won." Marcus looked around his battered bridge, at his crew who had trusted him, who had followed him into an impossible fight. They were cheering now, hugging each other. Some were crying. "No," Marcus said quietly. "Humanity did what it always does. We refuse to give up." Back on the council station, Elena stood in the chamber and watched the Scourge fleet jump to hyperspace. They were running. For the first time in 300 years, they were running. The ambassadors were silent, staring at the tactical displays, trying to process what they had just witnessed. Elder Lysara spoke first. "A single human ship defeated a Scourge battleship. This should not have been possible." "But it was," Tarzan said. He was looking at Elena with something like awe. "Because they fought like humans. No rules, no honor code, no concern for what was supposed to be possible. Just determination to win." Velix's wings were trembling. "The Scourge commander was right. You are insane." "Maybe," Elena said. "But we are also free. We do not pay tribute. We do not surrender. And we do not let bullies win. Not in Detroit, not on Earth, and not in space." Lysara's crystalline form pulsed with light. "The vote was incomplete when the Scourge arrived. We must finish it. The question remains, should humanity join the Galactic Council?" She looked around the chamber. "But perhaps the question has changed. After what we have witnessed, I think we must ask, can we afford not to have humanity as allies?" One by one, the ambassadors who had voted against humanity changed their votes. Not all of them, but enough. "The vote is now 26 in favor," Lysara announced. 2 against. "Humanity is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council. Ambassador Elena Reyes, please come forward." Elena walked to the center of the chamber. Her legs felt weak. She had not slept in 30 hours. She had watched her friend nearly die. And now, humanity had achieved what they came for. "You will be assigned a permanent seat on this council," Lysara said. "You will have a voice in all decisions. You will help shape the future of the galaxy. This is a tremendous responsibility." "We understand," Elena said. "I do not think you do," Tarzan said. He came down from his platform and stood before her. "Everything has changed today. The Scourge fled. The Council saw a new way to face threats. You have proven that the old order, the one built on fear and submission, is not the only way. This is dangerous, revolutionary, and necessary." He offered his hand. Elena shook it. His grip could have crushed her bones, but he was gentle. "Welcome to the Council, Ambassador Reyes," Tarzan said. Now teach us how to be like you. Teach us how to stand against the darkness and smile." Elena thought about her grandmother, about Marcus Chen and his crew, about every human who had ever faced impossible odds and refused to quit. "I will teach you what my grandmother taught me," Elena said. "Fear is natural, fear is useful, but fear is not a reason to stop. You acknowledge it, you understand it, then you move forward anyway. That is what makes us human. That is what we offer to the galaxy." She looked around the council chamber, at beings from a dozen different worlds, species that had traveled the stars for millennia. They were all watching her, waiting to learn. "The galaxy has spent 10,000 years learning to fear the sword," Elena said. "It is time to learn something new. It is time to learn what happens when you refuse to let fear win, when you choose to fight instead of submit, when you smile at death and ask, 'Is that the best you can do?'" Tarzan's laugh rumbled through the chamber. "The prophecy was right. You will remake the stars in your image." "No," Elena said. "We will remake them together. Human courage and alien wisdom. That is better than either one alone." She took her seat on the council, the newest member, the youngest species, the ones from the death world that did not know how to be afraid in the right ways. Outside the observation windows, the stars shone bright against the darkness, and somewhere out there, the Indomitable was limping back to dock, battered but victorious. The galaxy would never be the same. And Elena Reyes smiled.